Hello, I'm Roy Granger, and this is my audio blog. Early this morning I had an encounter with a paperboy, except of course it wasn't a paperboy. I don't know if this is happening elsewhere in the country, but I've noticed a startling trend in our village for newsagents to employ pensioners where once they would have thrown work to drippy-nosed 13-year-olds on bicycles. I'm unsure if this is due to the recession. Perhaps pensioners, like children, are ineligible for minimum wage, but unlike children are less likely to kick up a fuss when being taken advantage of. Even if they did kick up a fuss, they'd be easier to deal with than children, as they'd probably only write a sternly worded letter of resignation, rather than draw crude pictures of ejaculating penises on the safety shutters of the shop in that difficult-to-remove permanent marker. Or perhaps it's just because old people can always be relied on to get up really early. Anyway, it was early this morning and I was visiting my friend Rene. He's a crow that lives in the biggest birch tree in the village. I think he might be French. I'd been there since before midnight, regaling him with my endeavours the previous day in the art of paper aeroplane construction, him squawking his approval every so often. As I was discussing the simplistic beauty of the senior stub dart, I saw the rickety frame of an old man making his way through the mists at the bottom of the road, dragging a cart behind him. Excited at the prospect of conversing with someone who could reply with more than a neutral caw, I bid Rene good morning and made off in the direction of the distant figure at a bounding pace. Despite being quite sprightly for someone who was visibly at least 75 years of age, I was soon just a few feet behind him. I noticed that his cart was actually in the style of shopping trolleys preferred by elderly ladies, with that same tartan finish they all seem to favour. In my most jovial, banter-like voice I said, "It's not very nice out to be getting an early start on your shopping." The man had obviously not heard me approaching as he visibly jumped. He turned to look in my direction and did a double take before cocking his head to one side and fixing a confused stare on me. He must have thought I was Dave Gahan in that Depeche Mode video. I tried to drown out the odd silence by force-feeding him some more of my matey conversation. "I bet your wife will be glad to wake up to a fully stocked larder," I said, gesturing towards the shopping cart. His quizzical stare quickly turned to an angered glare, and he informed me that his wife had passed away earlier this year. He was just delivering the morning paper. I told him I was sorry for his loss, and needing some way to punctuate my statement, I saluted him, and as casually as possible fled off down the road in front of him. Later that day, I went down to the newsagents and bought one of each newspaper to make up for my gaffe. I intend to create an elaborate nativity scene out of papier-mâché and present it to the old man as a Christmas present. I'm currently working on the head of the little donkey. The ears are proving to be quite tricky.